No, how is it OP? Why? No. You know how fast the javelin, you know, I heard smoke on tanks and all that shit. You know how fast the javelin can lock on after you deploy smoke?
Hostile jeep over.
It's like 2 seconds after that. That is not OP. I think it takes about 5 seconds to reload the smoke. And it's one shot to disable a tank. But it takes one shot to disable a tank in an LAV. So yeah. Yeah, it does. So it's not OP. Dodge.
Hey guys, Quick Silly here. I haven't given you guys a video in some time now, but I've been trying to get back into the mix of Battlefield 3 and making videos, and I've been going through all the community forums, especially Battlelog's forum, and I have a very interesting video for you guys today. Now, before I get into the topic, I want to preface this by saying that this video is going to be discussing something that is a bit of a hot topic for forum fielders. That topic being, is IR smoke imbalanced? Or more commonly, is it OP? Now, for one, to make this video, I went into an empty server with a friend of mine and tested and timed some of the things like the time it takes for IR smoke to reload, which was timed and we came out to about 11 seconds. Then we tested things like the time it takes to lock on, fire, and reload the javelin, which came out to about 7.5 seconds. So you may be asking, well, this doesn't sound too imbalanced. Maybe take off a few seconds accounting for the reload, and the odds of hitting a tank in an open field seem to be pretty decent, right? Well, here's the problem with this. These are very ideal and best possible scenarios for the javelin. The other thing we don't factor into our test is travel time, which can change the situation completely. The javelin takes time to travel towards the target, so the hit isn't instantaneous. So knowing a good tanker, you're not going to pop smoke until you hear the incoming sound and probably just before you think it's going to hit. After you pop smoke, you make sure not to move out of the IR smoke cloud because this risks the chance of getting hit. One more thing to factor in is that IR smoke, when deployed, has a twofold effect. One of flares that deflect the incoming target, and one of the ECM jammer that prevents all guided weaponry from locking on for a total of 6 seconds. This also counters laser painters and SOFLAMs for that time. For anyone who has played a good amount of time, this is all basic knowledge, but I just wanted to get a few of these concepts going for those who aren't as versed in the ways of Battlefield. Now let me ask you guys a question. What do you typically run on your tank? I want you to consider that when listening to this. A large majority of people run this general all-purpose setup, reactive and smoke. As far as secondary weapons go, everyone has their preference, but for most people this is the mainstay. Reactive provides the extra protection they need, and smoke provides a countermeasure that can protect you from most, if not all, lock-ons. Now because of this setup, not only with main battle tanks, but all other armored vehicles, what reason do people have to run anything over smoke? Sure, there is thermal optics and zoom optics, but the usefulness of these gadgets pale in comparison to smoke. They are situational upgrades that maybe have the ability to improve your lethality when used properly, whereas smoke is a guaranteed protection and requires little to no skill to use properly. You just deploy, remain stationary, rinse and repeat. Unless the javelin user has constant access to an ammo box and someone designating with a SOFLAM, it's not possible that it can pose a threat to you unless a vital error is made on your part. Another question for you guys. Have you ever used thermal camo? Maybe some of you have in the past, then discovered IR smoke, and then realized you don't need to use it anymore. This is a big issue to me and another sign of a problem when DICE balance these two options. Why would they put this in the game if in all reality you will never need to use it? I brought this up in a thread before on Battlelog and someone had pointed out to me there's no way you could buff any of the other gadgets to make them more viable in comparison to smoke without overpowering them. I'll get back to this point in a second. Another aspect I wanted to bring out is how this can be imbalanced not only with main battle tanks, but also with vehicles such as the Mobile AA and LAVs. The Mobile AA's purpose is in the name. They have to shoot aircraft down. But on maps like Noshar, it can be incredibly difficult for even a skilled pilot to destroy a Tunguska simply due to one perk. LAVs and BMPs have high mobility and can get out of danger much faster than tanks. Reactive, IR smoke, and armor-piercing shells combined with a good driver can be an unstoppable force. So, taking everything I've pointed out into account, I propose DICE bring IR smoke down a bit. Whether this be through a longer reload, or removing the ECM-like effect and maintaining the reload so you can't be impervious to guided weaponry. I think to have that ability, you need to use IR smoke and thermal camo in tandem. And I honestly believe this is what DICE intended for to happen, but perhaps they just didn't get to it, or maybe they, in hindsight, they see how imbalanced this is. Now, for those who have the counter-argument that this will be just like the Armored Kill patch that gave the choppers the perceived triple nerf, where they removed gunner flares, removed below radar's effect on all non-vehicular surface-to-air missiles, and buffed the Stigla's range and lock-on speed, in no way would this be the same as that. This wouldn't be a buff to the javelins or any sort of guided weaponry. It would just be a much needed tweaking and, rebalancing of IR smoke. It would just be a small minor change that could really make the game a lot more enjoyable for all vehicle users, to be honest. Another thing I've seen on Battlelog is that people believe that if IR smoke is nerfed, that this game will be just like COD. Which, first of all, people saying things like that are completely ignorant. Secondly, a large portion of people creating a scene are those who are primarily playing in armor, and that's what they're good at, and there's no problem with playing in armor and enjoying it. But when you go on a forum and say something along those lines and turn your preference into bias to the point to where you ignore an obvious imbalance because it benefits you, then you automatically discredit yourself because it does look biased, and people see right through that and they see through your logic. So I don't understand what's the point of going on forums and saying things like that. This game will not be Call of Duty if IR smoke gets nerfed. Good tankers will still dominate, and if this does actually happen, it should be nowhere near the scale of the changes that the Armored Kill patch made. Anyways, I hope you guys found this informative and maybe even thought-provoking. If you guys enjoyed this little discussion, feel free to leave me a like to show me your appreciation for the time I put into these videos. If you want to take part in the discussion or just have a question for me, feel free to leave a comment down below in the comment section. If you guys want to see more from me, I will be uploading daily rounds where I communicate with my friends and use teamwork to play the objective in 1080p HD. Also, I will be working on a patch wish list per usual. So if you guys want to see more from me, feel free to subscribe. It really helps my channel grow and motivates me to produce more awesome content for you guys. This is Quick Silly. See you on the battlefield.